Page 26, this is the Romance. This is the second movement from the Sonatina by Beethoven on the previous pages. Sonatina has multiple movements, and this one happened to have two, and so here's the second movement. So if you play the whole Sonatina, you have to play the stuff on pages 24 and 25, and then you play pages 26 and 27. Not as one continual piece. They're two separate pieces. You'd play one, and then you'd wait, give it a break, what, 30 seconds or so? It's up to you how long you wait, and then you'd play the second movement, this movement. So in this piece, let's start with the right hand. First, notice that the time signature is 6/8, so we're counting eighth notes. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when we do this, and then we have this little grace note again, and again I play these on the B. I would play the B with the F sharp, but a lot of people would play it before the B. Not getting into that, but I play it on the beat. Watch the phrasing. You see the break between the phrases there? Just lift your hand up and cue. In the last measure, the first line there on page 26, watch the fingering. You can use the fingering in the parentheses if you want. It's up to you to experiment and see what you think. Either one works. It's up to you whichever one you use. And the second line, second measure, I like the 1, 2, 1. Now I don't like their phrasing there. I don't think Beethoven would have done this, because in the second measure, the second line, they have this. And they're starting a new phrase there, and I'm thinking, what? Just connect it all together. Third line down, starting out in the first measure, fine. Now you have the staccatos with a slur over them, so all you're going to do is just disconnect the notes. Just boom, 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 boom. If they're not staccato, no, it's not slurred, it's in between. In the last measure of the third line, I like the finger. 5, 4, 5. Do that 5, 4, 5 on each one, and the fourth line down. On page 27, they're at the top, the first measure. Look at the fingering. They're having you do a 1, 2, 3, and then slide off. You're not really sliding off because they want a phrase to start with this. And they want the phrase to start with that because that's at the beginning, that's how it started. So they want all the phrases similar to this to start, not at the beginning of the measure, but in the middle. So they're doing that with the 2 3s. You can get away with it if you want, because you're going to lift up a little bit and put a little silence between the A sharp and the B. It works. You don't have to finger it that way if you want. You can just as easily go a 1, 2, 3, 1, and 4. It's up to you which one you do. Third line down on page 27, it's the second measure. You see those two little 16th notes? Those are played on the beat. So it's 1, 2, 3. I think generally speaking, these little 16th notes are played more like 32nd notes. They're played quickly on the beat, on the third beat. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the fingering of 2, 3, 2. Same thing on the next line down. Just play them on the beat quickly. If I break it down, then I would have to break it down into 4 notes per beat. It's like if a quarter note gets a beat, a 16th note would get 1/4. It would go 1 eanda, 2 eanda, 3 eanda, 4 eanda. Well, here if an 8th note gets a beat, then a 16th note gets half a beat, a 32nd note gets a fourth a beat. And we would play these little notes here as 30-second notes. So we would go 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... You'll find recordings of this. Go listen to some recordings and hopefully they play it correctly. Don't play them before the beat. People who don't know any better will do it that way. Left hand. Let's go back to the top of page 26. What we tend to do, and they've done it in the slurring, the articulation they're giving, they're slurring the first two notes. I tend to do this anyway. Even if there was nothing there, I would connect the first two notes. I give the first note is a natural accent. You're going to give it a little more oomph anyway. So having them slur like that just reinforces that idea. But the last measure, the first line, the first note is a dotted quarter note. You're going to hold it down while you play the eighth note. First measure, the next line, same thing. Now I want to explain what's going on here in this measure 4. The dotted quarter note at the first one is fine, but then you have a 3-1 for the F sharp D. But that D also has 1 in parentheses and the little lines that go up. Well, that is their way of indicating that if you want, you could play those two Ds with the right hand using the thumb. That's what that means. So you're here. You're playing the A with the fourth finger anyway, so you're right there. So if you wanted, you could do it that way. It's up to you. It's your choice. You decide. Try both ways out and see which one you like better. Second line, second measure. Page 26 on the left hand. It's here. Now, you have a D, and that last note is an F, natural. It's got a natural sign in front of it. So just be aware of that. I'm just pointing it out. I'm not changing it. I'm just pointing it out. Third line down, left hand, dotted half notes, which are going to go the full 6 counts because there's 6 eighth notes and a dotted half note. All right, so here. Next measure is a 5-1. Now they're showing a 2-1 here. I don't like that. I would prefer a 3-2 because I can connect them. And then the next measure is a 5-1. I can connect them all pretty much. So I prefer a 3-2 on the A C sharp. Page 26 and the last line. On the left hand, you have these arpeggiated chords. You're going to hold them down for 2 counts. And I play the bottom note on the beat. So I would play the bottom note with the note in the right hand. And as I get louder, especially on the last one with a fermata, I would slow that down just a little for effect. So to do the 3 of them, I'm going to start with the 3/8 notes that are at the end of the previous line, the F sharp, E, D thing. So it's here. Louder. That's how I do it. You don't always play the arpeggiated chords the same speed. You don't roll them the same speed. The music determines how fast you should go. And when you're getting here, you're reaching a climax and it's louder, you're getting louder. You can, for emphasis, you can slow the roll down a little. And then you start coming down. Page 27, second line, first measure, we've already talked about. You can play the 2 Ds with the right hand if you want. As far as the rolled chords go, I don't know why they're showing that fingering. They're showing 5-3-2-1. And the fingering for the chord is supposed to be a 5-4-2-1. And I would encourage you to do a 5-4-2-1. This is a D7 chord. It happens to be a 5-7 chord in the key of G, which is, we're in the key of G. And a D chord. Normally you see it like that, but here you know, they leave out the A. The A is actually belongs in the chord too, but you don't have to play all the notes in a chord. Just put the D on the bottom. And here. So when you do the arpeggios for a D7 chord, you do that. Dynamic wise, again, it's a gentle piece, although this one does get loud in that one spot. The climax of the piece is that fermata at the bottom of page 26. Other than that, it's really a gentle piece. It's a simple piece. Make sure you bring out the melody. We want to hear that. Follow all the repeats, and then, yeah, have some fun with it. It's really a nice piece. I think I have the metronome on 80, but it's counting eighth notes. Okay, 6/8 time. I'll give us 3 counts, and then we'll come in, because we come in on beat 4. It's like 1, ready, go type thing. So hands in G position, no pedal. All right, all right. 1, ready, go. Repeat. Rest. Rest. To rest. 2, 3, 4. Repeat.